The Oscar-winning American actor Gene Hackman, along with his wife Betsy, have been found dead in their home in New Mexico in the United States. This is breaking news. Details are still scarce. Police are saying that this is currently an active investigation, but they don't believe that there was foul play as being a factor in the deaths of these two people.
Gene Hackman was a Hollywood legend, an Oscar-winning icon who vanished from the spotlight at the peak of his fame. For decades, he lived in quiet seclusion with his wife, Betsy Arakawa, far from the chaos of Los Angeles. But in February, their peaceful retreat turned into a crime scene. Both were found dead under eerie, unexplained circumstances. There were no signs of forced entry. No obvious cause of death, just silence and questions. Then came the shocking twist. The FBI had raided their estate just days earlier. What were they looking for? And what did they find, hidden behind a secret room in Hackman's mansion? As rumors swirl about classified documents, underground tunnels, and a chilling notebook filled with cryptic messages, the line between fact and conspiracy begins to blur. This isn't just the story of a star's final days. It's a mystery that could rewrite everything we thought we knew. Hollywood icon in the shadows. Gene Hackman wasn't just a movie star. He was Hollywood royalty. With 2 Academy Awards under his belt, and unforgettable roles in films like The French Connection and Unforgiven, Hackman had built a legacy few could rival. He was known for his powerful screen presence, his discipline, and his quiet command of any role he took on. For decades, audiences around the world saw him as the embodiment of classic American grit. He was beloved, respected, and undeniably one of the last great titans of cinema's golden age. Then, at the height of his success, Hackman did something unthinkable. He walked away. In the early 2000s, he abruptly retired from acting and moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, a place far removed from flashing cameras and red carpets. The announcement surprised fans and the industry alike. There was no farewell tour, no final performance, just silence. He settled into a private life in a sprawling estate nestled in the desert, surrounded by solitude and secrecy. To the world, it looked like a peaceful retirement, the reward for a life well lived. But whispers began to emerge. Neighbors noticed that Hackman rarely left his home. Staff members rotated frequently, and some spoke, always off the record, about being told never to enter certain parts of the house.
Death of legendary actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa, the couple along with their dog found dead in their New Mexico home this week by a maintenance worker. Listen, this is part of the 911 call.
Are they awake?
I have no idea.
Are they breathing?
I have no idea. I'm not inside the house. It's closed. It's locked. I can't go in. But I see them. She's laying down on a floor from the window.
Officials found the home's door open, prescription pills scattered next to Hackman's wife. Police say they found the body of a German Shepherd in the bathroom closet. 2 other dogs were found alive on the property. A search warrant does reveal investigators believe the deaths were suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough search and investigation. And we do want to bring in News Nation law and justice contributor Jennifer Coffendorfer. Jennifer, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Natasha.
And so it's interesting to track this. Initially, police say there were no signs of foul play, and then by the afternoon, officials deemed it suspicious. What is standing out to you among all of these details in the investigation?
Well, first of all, anytime you have 2 bodies deceased at the same place at the same time, that in and of itself is suspicious. And then, of course, the dog also being deceased added to that suspicion, and then the pills being found scattered about. The whole situation really is quite alarming.
You know, you said the couple's digital activity will be crucial in this investigation. Tell me more about that.
The reason the digital information from both of their cell phones is so important, Natasha, is because cell phones can track movement.
The mansion, though beautiful on the outside, carried an eerie silence on the inside. It was as if Hackman had withdrawn not just from the public eye, but from the world itself. Some said he wanted peace. Others believed he was hiding something far darker. But whatever peace Hackman sought didn't last. What began as a quiet retreat soon spiraled into a mystery that would shock Hollywood and ignite a storm of speculation. A sudden, shocking death. On February 26th, tragedy struck. Maintenance workers entered Hackman's estate for a routine repair, only to find a scene straight out of a thriller. Inside the massive home, Gene Hackman was discovered lifeless in a back room, his cane and sunglasses placed neatly beside him. Just down the hall, his wife, Betsy Arakawa, was found in the bathroom, collapsed near a scattering of prescription pills. Both had passed away, quietly and inexplicably, in the same house where they had spent their final years in near-total isolation. Initial theories swirled. Carbon monoxide poisoning seemed like a plausible cause, a silent killer that claims thousands of lives every year. But further testing ruled that out. The gas lines in the house were fully intact, and no dangerous levels of carbon monoxide were detected. Investigators were left with more questions than answers. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of foul play, and no immediate medical explanation for their simultaneous deaths.
Autopsies have revealed Gene Hackman and his wife died a week apart, and the Oscar winner might not have known his partner was dead. He had severe Alzheimer's and heart disease, while Betsy died from a rare respiratory illness spread by rodents.
A Hollywood legend and his wife in a love story with one of the saddest endings.
I can tell you that he was in an advanced state of Alzheimer's, and it's quite possible that he was not aware that she was deceased.
An autopsy revealed Gene Hackman also had severe heart disease. He died around February 18.
There was no food in his stomach, which means he had not eaten recently.
Authorities say his wife Betsy passed away a week earlier from a rare virus transmitted from rodents to humans. It wasn't until February 26 the couple's bodies were found at their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So intense was the public speculation, New Mexico's chief medical examiner spoke publicly.
It is unprecedented. However, the circumstances surrounding these two deaths require accurate dissemination of important information.
One of their dogs also died, likely from starvation. Hackman was found near the front door, a walking cane and sunglasses nearby.
I don't know if he used cell phones or technology or emails.
This week, Hollywood paused on its biggest night for one of its biggest stars.
Rest in peace, my friend.
The actor and the pianist were married 34 years. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
The public was stunned. Fans, colleagues, and even longtime friends were caught off guard by the news. How could two people, seemingly healthy and well-protected in a secure estate, both pass away so suddenly and without warning? And why had no one heard from them in the days leading up to their deaths? As rumors began to swirl, one unsettling detail emerged that would turn this quiet tragedy into a full-blown national mystery. The FBI had visited the estate just days earlier. With the unexpected deaths making headlines, attention quickly shifted to the strange federal presence on Hackman's property. Something had drawn the FBI there, and what they found would change everything. The FBI steps in. A raid that changed everything. The raid was unlike anything local authorities had seen. In the dead of night, without sirens or media attention, federal agents arrived at Hackman's home and swept the premises with clinical precision. It wasn't a standard search. It was an operation. Agents moved with urgency, as if they had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Neighbors saw the shadows of unmarked vehicles and men in black suits, but few details emerged until days later. It would soon be revealed that the FBI had been monitoring Hackman's estate for months, maybe even years. Sources suggested that strange transmissions had been detected coming from his property, and that Hackman himself may have reached out to officials only to be dismissed. What exactly prompted the full-scale raid remained unknown, but what was clear was that it wasn't routine. Whatever they were looking for, they believed it was important enough to warrant federal involvement at the highest level.
Tonight, New Mexico authorities with tragic revelations to a week-long mystery, saying Gene Hackman died of heart disease and complications from Alzheimer's, likely a week after his wife Betsy died of the rare, deadly disease hantavirus.
The cause of death for Mr. Gene Hackman, aged 95 years, is hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, with Alzheimer's disease as a significant contributory factor. The cause of death for Miss Betsy Hackman, aged 65 years, is hantavirus pulmonary syndrome.
Hantavirus is transmitted to humans by mice. There's been less than 900 cases since the CDC started tracking it in 1993.
Hantavirus can be transmitted to people through rodent urine, droppings, or saliva.
The couple, married for 30 years, were found dead inside their Santa Fe home by a neighborhood caretaker February 26th. Hackman found in the mudroom, appearing to have suddenly fallen. Betsy in the bathroom with pills scattered on the counter, her body further decomposed than her husband's.
Based on the circumstances, it is reasonable to conclude that Ms. Hackman passed away first, with February 11th being the last time that she was known to be alive.
Officials say pacemaker data indicates Hackman likely died February 18th.
Does this mean Gene Hackman was likely home with his deceased wife for a week before he passed away himself?
Yes, I would assume that that is the case.
It marks a heartbreaking end to a legendary life for two-time Oscar winner Gene Hackman.
Who is it, Superman? Lex Luthor!
Officials vowing to continue their investigation, but consider the mystery solved.
Just days after the raid, both Hackman and his wife were dead. The timing was chilling. Had the stress of the investigation pushed them over the edge? Or had someone decided Hackman had seen too much? With federal agencies refusing to comment, the mystery deepened. The question became not just what the FBI was searching for, but why now, and what, if anything, had they found? As the world demanded answers, details slowly began to leak. What the agents discovered inside Hackman's estate was something no one was ever meant to find. The hidden room. No one was meant to find. Buried behind a wall of books in Hackman's private study, agents discovered a hidden doorway, reinforced with steel and seamlessly blended into the woodwork. It wasn't a panic room or a storage space. It was something far more deliberate. The door was bolted shut with multiple locks, as if the actor had gone to great lengths to ensure whatever was inside stayed hidden from the world. When agents finally breached the barrier, they entered a room frozen in time. Dust blanketed every surface. At the center sat an old wooden desk covered in brittle documents, many stamped classified. Along the walls were black and white photographs of people who couldn't be identified, some with names crossed out, others with dates suggesting they'd gone missing decades ago. It didn't take long for investigators to realize they weren't looking at a private archive. They were looking at evidence.
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No.
I seen something laying there. To see that, both of them, bro. Sorry.
I really have a wonderful wife and a great home.
The 95-year-old Oscar winner was suffering from advanced Alzheimer's and had passed away from heart disease about 6 days after wife Betsy succumbed to a virus spread by rodents. The couple was not found until 8 days later.
It's quite possible that he was not aware that she was deceased.
Real sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
In the video, authorities contact the actor's middle daughter, Elizabeth, about the couple's final wishes and their dog, Zinna, who died in her crate near Jean's wife.
I won't know what to do until I hear more from my dad's business manager about what they wanted. Cremate the dog and bury it with Betsy.
The most chilling discovery came in the form of a rusted metal filing cabinet, secured with heavy padlocks. Inside were government documents, maps of underground structures, and encrypted messages, all suggesting a level of access and knowledge that no ordinary citizen, let alone a retired actor, should have possessed. It was a treasure trove of secrets, and it begged the question, how had Hackman come into possession of these files? Among the mountain of documents, agents found something even more revealing, a black notebook, tattered and filled with disturbing insights. The notebook that unraveled the mystery. Hackman's personal black notebook was unlike anything investigators had expected. It wasn't a diary or memoir. It was a chaotic, almost frantic collection of notes, drawings, and thoughts. Phrases like, "They are always listening," and "The tunnels connect further than I thought," were scrawled in uneven handwriting. Pages contained sketches of unknown symbols and geographic coordinates leading to remote locations. At first glance, the writings appeared paranoid, but as agents cross-referenced the notebook with the documents from the filing cabinet, a disturbing pattern emerged. Hackman had been conducting his own investigation. Into what? They still weren't sure. But it was clear that he had uncovered something, and that he believed he was being watched. The entries hinted at surveillance, secret networks, and a growing fear that he was getting too close to something dangerous. What made the notebook especially troubling were the coordinates. Some led to areas near his estate, others pointed to sites across the country. Had Hackman been following clues? Had he uncovered an old government project? The notebook seemed to be more than just the ramblings of an old man. It was a roadmap, a breadcrumb trail pointing toward a truth no one wanted uncovered. As investigators followed Hackman's clues deeper, they made a discovery that turned speculation into something far more sinister: an entire network of tunnels hidden beneath his estate. The underground tunnels. Beneath his estate. Beneath Hackman's mansion, authorities uncovered a vast system of underground tunnels, dark, damp, and filled with items no one could explain. These weren't standard utility paths or bomb shelters. They were a labyrinth, with rooms and chambers suggesting intentional design. Crates filled with strange symbols, old newspapers, and letters hinted at a long history unknown even to Hackman's closest associates. Deeper in the tunnels, investigators stumbled upon a chamber that defied logic. It contained chairs arranged in a perfect circle, strange symbols carved into the walls, and the oppressive weight of something unspeakable. They said was suffocating. Some agents refused to re-enter. What had these rooms been used for? Rituals? Meetings? Or something even darker? Among the most disturbing finds were personal belongings, suitcases, shoes, and photos of people who had never been identified. None of them appeared to belong to Hackman or his family. Who were these people? What had happened to them? The tunnel network raised more questions than answers, and the deeper they dug, the more terrifying the implications became. As the investigation deepened, a new focus emerged: Hackman's wife. Was Betsy simply a bystander, or did she know more than anyone realized? Betsy Arakawa, victim or witness? Betsy Arakawa was found in the bathroom of the mansion, an open prescription bottle and scattered pills nearby. The position of her body and the tipped-over space heater added confusion, not clarity. Though 30 years younger than Jean, Betsy was reportedly in stable health, Her sudden death raised immediate questions among investigators and fans alike. Toxicology reports came back inconclusive. There were no clear traces of overdose and no known pre-existing conditions severe enough to explain her sudden passing. Some theorized that the chaos of the FBI raid and Hackman's obsession with his investigation may have taken a toll on her emotionally and physically. But others suspected something far more sinister. Had she seen something she wasn't supposed to? Hidden documents in their shared study, tucked inside a locked safe, seemed to indicate that Betsy might not have been entirely in the dark. Letters between the couple suggested she was aware of Hackman's theories and may have even helped him catalog his findings. If she was a witness to something sensitive, it's possible her death wasn't accidental at all. The deeper investigators looked, the more it appeared she was connected to the mystery, not just caught in the crossfire. While the investigation centered around Jean and Betsy, one silent thread remained: their estranged family, and their absence spoke volumes. The family that never came back. Gene Hackman had 3 children: Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie. Yet, in the days following his death, none of them made public statements. No tributes, no funeral arrangements, no visible mourning. It was as if they had already said their goodbyes long before Gene took his final breath. For fans, the silence was deafening. The estrangement reportedly began in 1986 after Hackman's divorce from his first wife, Faye Maltese. Friends said the separation fractured the family. Over the years, Hackman threw himself into work, often at the expense of his personal relationships. His children chose quiet, private lives away from Hollywood, rarely seen in public, and never with their father. But the real mystery was why none of them returned, not when his health declined, not during the raid, and not even after his death. Did they know something? Was the rift so deep it couldn't be mended? Or was there something darker, something unspoken that kept them away? Whatever the reason, the distance between Hackman and his children left a haunting void that only deepened the tragedy. With the family silent and authorities tight-lipped, one question loomed over everything. Was Gene Hackman investigating something he was never supposed to find? Was Hackman investigating something he wasn't supposed to? The more agents studied Hackman's notebook and documents, the more it seemed like he had been piecing together a long-buried conspiracy. His notes referenced silent watchers, government tunnels, and shadow movements. Some of the documents he had stashed were marked "Eyes Only" and bore official U.S. government seals from decades prior. Maps found in the hidden cabinet revealed underground infrastructure far beyond his property, extending to nearby military bases and abandoned Cold War-era facilities. These weren't just architectural curiosities. Some were marked with coded designations and notes about possible surveillance corridors and hidden exits. Hackman wasn't just collecting old records, he was connecting dots that someone didn't want connected. Was he simply a man with an overactive imagination, or had he truly uncovered a secret project buried under decades of bureaucracy and silence? His notes suggest a man who was both scared and determined, fearful of what he might find, but more afraid to leave the truth buried, and that pursuit may have made him a target. With everything pointing toward a high-stakes mystery, the final blow came too swiftly. The question that haunted everyone: was Gene Hackman silenced? A death that raised too many questions. Hackman was declared dead of heart disease, a reasonable cause for a 95-year-old. But the timing was hard to ignore. He had survived years in seclusion, only to die just days after the FBI raid. Meanwhile, Betsy, relatively young and healthy, died under equally strange circumstances. Together, their deaths felt less like tragedy and more like erasure. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, no theft. It was as if they had simply stopped. But to those following the case closely, the possibility of stress-related illness, seemed thin. Hackman had lived under pressure for decades as an actor. He wasn't new to high-stakes environments. What changed this time? What if it wasn't heart failure? What if it wasn't natural at all? Some insiders believe Hackman was warned to stay silent. Others think the documents he kept revealed something that sealed his fate. Either way, the conclusion didn't sit right. 2 deaths, 1 investigation, 0 answers. As questions piled up, authorities chose not to explain, but to erase. Hackman's secrets, it seemed, would be buried with him. The truth they took to the grave. In the weeks following their deaths, all federal communication ceased. Freedom of Information Act requests were denied. The FBI issued no official findings. Even local law enforcement stopped providing updates. Whatever was found inside that estate, someone decided the public was never meant to know. Hackman's estate was sealed, his files removed, his belongings boxed up without ceremony. The hidden room, the notebook, the tunnels, none of it appeared in official reports. No public memorial was held. The world moved on, as if the final chapter of a legendary life had been quietly edited out of history. So what was it? A descent into obsession from a reclusive star, or a truth buried too deep to ever be uncovered? One thing is certain, Gene Hackman died with secrets. Whether those secrets were imagined or horrifyingly real, we may never know. But for those who believe in the power of truth, the mystery of Hackman's final days remains a haunting puzzle still waiting to be solved. The deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa leave behind more questions than answers. Official reports claim natural causes, but the details don't add up. A high-profile FBI raid, hidden documents, underground tunnels, and an actor's cryptic notes. It all paints a picture that feels more like a movie script than real life. But this isn't fiction. This happened. Gene Hackman spent a lifetime creating unforgettable characters, gritty cops, conflicted heroes, and complex villains. But in his final role, he became something else. A man chasing truth in the shadows, possibly discovering something he was never meant to find. Why was the FBI really watching him? What was in that hidden room? And why has every official request for answers been met with silence? Even more haunting is the absence of his children. No statements, no tributes, no public grief. Just distance and mystery. Maybe Hackman was simply a man growing old in isolation. Or maybe he stumbled onto something that cost him everything. Whatever the truth is, it now rests in a sealed file, and in a locked room beneath the New Mexico soil. In the end, Gene Hackman may have taken the truth with him, or someone made sure he did. But as long as questions remain, the mystery lives on. And the world keeps asking what really happened to Gene Hackman and his wife.